second session, that is the initial evaluation of a patient who comes to your clinic. I think Dr. Mehta did a wonderful job of the basic understanding of diabetes. Now, you have a clinical setting and you have a patient coming to your clinic. So, first thing is you have to do some baseline evaluation, and this evaluation depends on whether you have a newly diagnosed patient or you have a known diabetes patient. So, if you have a newly diagnosed patient, you need to first classify this patient whether this is type 1 or type 2 or some other type. Then you have to look for presence of comorbidities. You have to also look for presence or absence of complications, and on the basis of this, you work out a strategy to treat this patient or manage this patient. This evaluation will also give you a basis for evaluation of the whatever therapeutic strategy you are adopting for the future. Now, breaking here and giving you the basic. Now, the current classification of diabetes is based on the ADA classification, which classifies into type 1 diabetes, which is basically resulting from immune-mediated beta cell destruction. Type 2 diabetes, which is the most common type, where there is progressive insulin secretory defect, which Dr. Mehta just told, on a backdrop of insulin resistance. Then there are other specific types which include genetic defects, include diseases of exocrine pancreas, drug-induced or chemical-induced diabetes, and the gestational diabetes. But during the day, we are going to dwell largely on type 2 diabetes because that's what you are going to see in clinical practice. Now, the current diagnostic criteria for diabetes are based on the latest recommendations, and diagnosis of diabetes is based on presence of A1C levels of more than 6.5% or a fasting plasma glucose of more than 126 milligrams per deciliter, or a postprandial glucose level of more than 200 or a random plasma glucose of more than 200. Now, for the A1C more than 6.5%, it is important the test should be performed in a laboratory which is using NGSP certified method standardized to DCCT survey assay. And if it is unstandardized A1C, then it does not have actually much value in making a diagnosis. And unfortunately, in Indian setting, we don't have much of standardized A1C available. Even in very good labs, they don't have NGSP certification standardization. So A1C for diagnosis of diabetes in Indian setting, I would say, is still not a very valid test. For defining fasting, person should be fasting for at least last 8 hours. A postprandial test defined for diagnosis has to be done during an oral glucose test, tolerance test, which is done according to WHO recommendation using a 75 gram glucose dissolved in a glass of water. Now, for these tests, it is very important that if there are no symptoms or there is absence of unequivocal hyperglycemia, the results should be tested at least twice, 24 hours apart. If the person has classical symptoms of hyperglycemia or hyperglycemic crisis and has a random plasma of more than 200, it is practically diagnostic of type 2 of diabetes. Now, there is another category which was earlier classified as pre-diabetes and now is labeled as categories with increased risk for diabetes. Includes a fasting glucose level between 100 to 125 or 126 up to 126 and a postprandial level between 140 and 200 or a A1C level 5.7 to 6.5%. And these categories qualify for diagnosis of pre-diabetes or the individuals with increased risk of diabetes. Now, if you get a known patient with diabetes, first thing you need to do is review the degree of past and current glycemic control. And you also need to review what is the previous treatment the patient is on and what kind of investigations he has been subjected to and what were the reports. You also need to detect or evaluate for the comorbid conditions which may be present or any complications which are already present in these patients. Accordingly, formulate a treatment regime and also use this as a baseline for guiding for the further treatment down the line and evaluating the outcomes of your strategy adopted after the baseline evaluation. Now, this is a typical patient who is walking into everybody's clinic on routine basis. This is a 42 years lady having type 2 diabetes for 4 years, blood pressure for last 4 years. His investigation showed total cholesterol of 190, LDL level of 128, HDL of 40, waist circumference, waist is 91 kg, height is 165, body mass index 33.5, waist circumference 98. So this is not only diabetes, this is typically a patient with metabolic syndrome. Diabetes is frequently associated with other comorbidities like blood pressure, dyslipidemia, obesity, and so on. And these should also be identified at the time of initial evaluation, and accordingly, if the patient is having metabolic syndrome, that means patient is definitely at very high risk for cardiovascular risk, disease and CVD, and should be treated accordingly, and you should target not only the glycemic control, you should also target all the components of metabolic syndrome that are present. Similarly, this is a patient who is 40 years male, having diabetes, blood pressure, dyslipidemia, overweight, and also depression. Depression is one of the common accompaniments of diabetes, and that is commonly overlooked in clinics. And because of this associated depression or psychological, problems, you are not able to get good results because the patient usually don't comply. They are on medications which are causing worsening of hyperglycemia and so on. So identification of depression or psychological illness is also very important when you are, evaluating a patient with diabetes. Now, what is metabolic syndrome? It's nothing but a clustering of metabolic abnormalities which occur together in an individual more often than what might be expected simply because of chance. And they are associated with increased cardiovascular disease risk, and insulin resistance has been suggested as a common cause for all these components. This is the definition given by International Diabetes Federation in 2005, where earlier the diagnosis of metabolic syndrome was based on 3 out of 5 components, that is central obesity, dyslipidemia, blood pressure, diabetes, raised triglyceride or low HDL. But after the IDF guidelines, one thing that came was that we started using the waist circumference, which was ethnic specific. And for Indian ethnicity, the normal cutoff for waist circumference is 90 centimeters for males and 80 centimeters for females. And second thing that came with this diagnosis is that central obesity became as a mandatory criteria for defining metabolic syndrome. And in presence of central obesity, if there are 2 of the 4, that is raised triglycerides or low HDL or raised blood pressure or hyperglycemia, any 2 of the 4 and central obesity, the person qualifies for diagnosis of metabolic syndrome. We had a consensus on defining and managing obesity in 2008 in India, where I also happened to be part of the steering committee. And based on the Indian data that we have, again the consensus in Indian setting is that we should maintain that earlier definition of 3 out of 5 criteria rather than using only central obesity as a mandatory criteria in India also. Now, once we are doing a comprehensive evaluation of a diabetic patient, the essential components are a good medical history, a good clinical examination, followed by a laboratory evaluation, and of course, if needed, the patient will need to be given some referrals to other specialties. During history taking, it is very important to assess what age the patient got diabetes, whether the patient had, classical symptoms or was asymptomatic, did he have history of ketoacidosis, or he was just detected to have, laboratory abnormalities during a health check. What are the eating patterns this patient has, what kind of physical activity he is used to, what kind of activity behavior he has, what is his nutritional status, what kind of body weight he is having, what is the history of his body weight, whether he used to be lean, thin and has become obese suddenly and got diabetes, whether he was obese and started losing weight and got detected